Hello and welcome to Husky Huddle. The coach, David Schuman, and my man from Procyon Partners, Sean Rabinowitz. Thanks for being with us.
Always my pleasure, guys.
Coach?
What's your question? I'm waiting for the news, dude. I'm waiting for your freaking news.
So I was on the UConn roster, and if you go on there, there's some players. Let's see. Joe Figiano's one of them. Evers is one of them. They have their Instagram, Twitter, and a $sign. You click on the $sign, it takes you to Open Doors.
Yeah, Open Door sponsor place.
And if you want a shout out from Joseph Figiano, it's $24. If you want him to post on social media for you, it's $32.
That's not a bad deal.
He'll make an appearance for $65.
Wow.
He'll give you an autograph for $42. And he'll pitch anything. He'll respond to your custom request for $28.
I love it.
Perfect.
You knew about this?
Yeah, so open indoors?
It says Open Doors. D-O-R-S-E.
Yeah, Open it. So that's a company.
What in the hell is this?
They work with a lot of the colleges around the country, and they build a platform that allows them to, it's like an API that plugs in, and it allows it customized to the school, and it plugs in all your athletes and allows you to put whatever you want to do as an athlete on there. So it's kind of like,
it's like
the shout out thing, that shout out program.
Right, Cameo.
Right,
Cameo,
but Open Indoors can also, it's kind of like Cameo, but for athletes.
That's the first time I've seen this. I wonder if it's new or if it's always been there.
It's been there.
But now,
all these schools have it. I mean, maybe UConn
they do.
But I've seen it in a lot of places.
But now, not every player has one. So it must only be for the stars.
Well, not every player's in demand, right?
They can all get.
Yeah, that's true.
This is a platform that they could all get if they want to.
Oh, they can. Okay.
Yes.
Wow. Man, that blew my mind.
Steve, I would have paid $24 for you.
I know you would have, Sean. Sean would have paid $24. Sean, I would have just taken a night at Nickel Night.
There you go. I probably.
Is that the news you have?
Yes. I just blows my mind. I didn't know that they were doing that.
Yeah, of course. All these
of course, I can't believe you knew that.
Of course, I know this stuff.
Okay. You're the smartest man.
You have to do a lot more Husky talks than I do podcasts, so you're busy.
Yeah, right.
I'm still doing I just ran a showcase for 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th graders. Okay.
Yes.
So I'm going back to my roots on some of this stuff, but dropping an age level lower, and it was unbelievable. 100 kids there. It was great, and the kids did a great job. It was a great showcase. But it's interesting because recruiting has changed so much in that, and we talked about in the pre-show, that high school kids have a hard time getting recruited because of the fact that transfer portal and they can take older guys. JUCO, I guess now doesn't count. Whatever the nonsense is, you can be 70 years old and still playing. I mean,
I might have a year of eligibility.
One might have eligibility. I might have eligibility. So I mean, I have to change positions. I have to change the center, but from a linebacker. But it's definitely it's changed recruiting. So what people are trying to do is showcases now at the younger level is more about who are the better kids in the grade. It's not necessarily about getting an offer, anymore. It's more about who are the best kids in the grade as they progress through, like basketball.
In the class, you're saying.
Right. So basketball, which is really at the extreme, like at 10 years old, they rank basketball players. Okay. Yes, you didn't know that?
It's crazy.
10 years old?
10 years old, they rank girls and guys basketball players. Yes. So now basketball is different because there's not as many of them.
Right.
There's less variability in the guys that become the best because of height and other things. So they know about basically the best 100 basketball players within a kind of 5% error rate. The best 100 basketball players at the time they're 16 years old are more than likely the best basketball players when you get to the time that they're going to be drafted, within like a 5 to 10% error rate, where you might have 5 to 10 kids that emerge later on, those kind of things. But for the most part, they know this. Okay. And like we talked about before, they probably, if there's a kid that's a great basketball player and he's 12 and the father stands next to them and he's 6'9" and the mother's 6 feet, they're like, well, yeah, we could probably project that this kid's already good and he's already taller than everybody. He's going to keep getting taller. You know what I mean? So most famously in basketball, there's a kid. He's now in the creator league. You know, that whole, I don't know if you've seen this stuff. It's called like all these creators on social media. They have like a basketball league. And they have all these different challenges they do. Well, there's a kid, Julian Newman, who was like a youth phenom, but his parents were very small. He never got more than like 5'5", 5'6", and he wasn't like Muggsy Bogues was at 5'5".
Right.
He was incredibly quick. I mean, he was a dominant player when he was young. He went to like a low-level college, kind of flamed out. But as a young kid, he was great. But they knew he wasn't going to be a top player when he was 16. He wasn't ranked in the top things. He was like a media, YouTube star and all that stuff, but he wasn't ranked, right? Because they knew height-wise, it was very unlikely he was going to get to be what he was. And unless you're Muggsy Bogues at a certain height, Muggsy Bogues, most famously in the great book by Jim Valvano. I don't know if you ever read that book with Jim Val. Read that book?
Mm-mm.
Jim Valvano
I don't
wrote
read.
a book. Oh, it was about when they won the national championship back in the.
I heard about it. Yes.
So the team that the whole team feared playing, and he was on Wake Forest team, was Muggsy Bogues. He was only 5'4" or whatever, but he was so quick, so athletic, and what's that?
He was that old, Muggsy Bogues?
Yeah, Muggsy Bogues is probably older than me.
Jim Valvano's team won what, in '83?
It was in the early 80s.
Yeah.
Wow, I didn't know Muggsy Bogues was that old. Okay.
That makes sense. Yeah, I think that tracks.
Bogues, he is Muggsy Bogues is now 60 years old.
Oh, okay. Wow.
There you go. So Muggsy obviously and Spud Webb, those were obviously anomalies. But I think you very rarely see those anomalies anymore, because now at 6 feet, those guys are as quick as those guys were. Back then, guys didn't lift and do as much agility and all that kind of stuff. So a taller guy, a regular sized guy, had a hard time handling a guy like that, especially a guy that was naturally rocked up like Muggsy Bogues was and all that stuff. And the conditioning he was. But anyway, the point is that they know this. And in football, there's a much bigger variable rate. I don't know what the variable rate is, but it's much larger. But they're still trying to identify who their best players in each class as they're going through. So it helps in recruiting, because what's happening is some fall off, some continue to develop, some come in new. But having that information early helps them get eyes on who they want to continue to follow, which has changed, because when I first started showcases back in the early I guess it was 2005 was the first one, but when it really got big was like 2008, 9, 10.
Yes.
Freshmen, sophomores were getting offers early, but those were able to stick because transfer portal wasn't a big deal.
No,
so now they don't stick. They don't stick in the same way that they did before. Unless you really are a 4 or 5 star, unless you really are the guy, But back then, you could get you got a kid who ends up being a 3-star, get offers as sophomores. You know what I mean? You could easily have that happen.
I wanted to ask you and Sean, because I was thinking about this the other night. If COVID never happened, do you think the transfer portal would exist?
Yes.
You think that eventually they would have gone to being able to transfer without sitting out a year?
I do. It's the NCAA. It's the big pendulum, right?
Yeah.
It just swings massively one way versus the other. I think you had coaches leaving, and I think you had to make an adjustment for that. But like everything else they do, they completely over adjust. But I do think you would have seen some semblance of the portal. I don't know that it would have ever gotten to where it is right now, where it's kind of like the Wild Wild West, and it's really not a portal. It's an open transfer system.
No, it's free agency.
It's free agency, right? Same thing with the NIL. It's like, hey, I get it. Need for some, dollars to put back in athlete's pocket, and but the pendulum just completely went the other way. So I do think it would have happened, but I do think it's gone way too far.
I think Sean's right on a lot of those notes. I think it was inevitable. What COVID did was awaken coaches to the idea that you didn't have to be in their home to recruit them. You didn't have to meet with them to recruit them, which really helped with the transfer portal because the transfer, there's a short window of time. How can you visit with all these people in person in a short window of time? So what this allowed was now me from right where we are, or home or in your car, to go and recruit kids and offer kids off of film or recommendation or past performance if they're at a school, and without having to really meet them. And NIL gave them the opportunity to give them money without meeting them, which is a further enticement. And I thought Pitino said it best, and you could argue the values of what he's doing. That's I don't judge.
I think he's reformed.
Well, I'm just saying you could argue whether you think it's good or bad. I'm just saying
Tigers don't change their stripes, Steve.
Yes, that's right. That's right. Well, Steve's trying to change his stripes, so he has to believe that everybody else can. Yeah, it's important. It's important in changing your stripes.
Fair enough.
There's no way. If Steve can't believe it, someone else changing their stripes, Steve's gonna be like, well, you know what? Like,
I'm fucked. Right?
Go.
Yeah.
I have to believe that way too. That maybe you don't change all the stripes, but maybe you can just change a few.
A handful. Yeah.
I believe that I might be better off. Maybe erase a couple of possibly. But yeah, no. So I think what Pitino said was really. It's great. Old coaches are great, dude. They let it fly, dude. They don't have that many.
Yeah, they don't care anymore.
They don't have that many more. They don't know how many. Yeah. They got 10 years, 5 years, 20 years to live. They're not wasting time. And what's great about it's funny. It's almost the opposite of the way. If an older coach likes being in the game and staying in it, like a Pitino or an REM, they like being in it. It's great because they're not going to give a shit, and they're going to give you the roadmap of how it can actually be done because they know they don't have much time, right? So when he said that, I just thought, yep, he just said what every coach is already thinking and doing. He just said it because he doesn't have time to argue with you the moral value of whether it's right or wrong. Whereas a younger coach will still want to feel like I'm representing a certain level of morality that, I'm going to do both. And this isn't, right for the kids. Guys at 70 years old, like the
morality is not going to keep you your job either.
And if he did fire him, do you think he gives a shit? You know how many times he's already been fired?
Yeah.
Come on. Those guys don't care. He's a Hall of Fame coach. So when he says he's not going to recruit a high school kid because he needs to replace a kid with the same ability, which you can only get in college.
That's what he said.
Yep. When he said that he took the kid from Seton Hall, who was Shaheen Holloway's top recruit, when he took him away, he said It was just money. I didn't do anything great. I had more money than Shaheen did.
Yeah. Money
It's not
talks.
the kid didn't like me more than Shaheen. You know?
You had a deeper pocket. Yeah.
So like when guys like that say that stuff, you got to pay attention because you got to understand that he's living in the world he's in. That's it.
Yeah.
He lives in the world he's in. He's not trying to, at this point of his life, say, how can I revamp the system? You know, Nick Saban said it in a different way. Nick Saban said, I don't see myself from a moral and ethical standard, even though he's probably dropping bags off in people's houses. Maybe not him, but his buddy. Okay. Moral and ethical standard of being involved in it. The way his mind works, it does not work for him. He's telling you something when he retires. He's telling you now. Nick Saban, know the history of Nick Saban. What does he really kind of believe? He believes all the things he says. Okay, it doesn't mean he actually does all the things, but he absolutely believes it all. No doubt in my mind. You know,
no, I agree. I think that's why he left. He didn't want to deal with the new way of doing things. But like you mentioned it.
Yeah, Sean.
Have you guys ever heard Randy Edsel's rant on the portal?
Yes. Yes.
I mean, that's like, that's like, like get your popcorn out. I mean, I remember I've seen him do it twice. I mean, this is when he was still the coach, but I mean, you want to talk about a guy who was bitter about the portal.
Very.
I mean, amazing. Like just teed off. Like you give that guy a microphone and talk about the portal, and I mean, he could go on and on about
Sean, it. He won't watch college football anymore because of the portal. The only college football he watches, he'll watch his son because his son coaches at Stanford.
Yeah.
But other than that, he does not like college football anymore, and he doesn't watch it. He doesn't talk about it. He thinks the transfer portal. I mean, killed the college game. Which
he said that. I've heard him. I heard him say it at two UConn coaching events. Is that not just college football? He said it's killed all college sports.
Yes. Yep. He firmly believes it, and it's just I don't think he knew how to compete.
Well,
I don't think he knew how to.
I agree with you. If I can interject, here's what I do believe is the truth of all of this. Okay, what Randy says is 100% true. The issue is that people who are in football, guys who played in college, coached in college, or even coached in high school, okay, are in the football game, have this nostalgic view of football that the casual fan, the person who gambles, doesn't give two shits about any of this.
They don't.
They care about who are the good players that are on the. If you gave a kid $1 million, they now know his name. Great, I'll watch him on TV. Because if you think about your friends who are not involved in sports per se, like, I mean, they might even be involved in slightly, but not involved in the heavier aspect of sports, where there's like this nostalgic moral value that you kind of place in what you came up in. They don't have this. The casual fan likes college football more than ever.
They do. The ratings are through the roof. The attendance is through the roof. Absolutely.
So it's the casual fan. And the casual fan, by the way, extends to children. Okay.
Yeah. 100%.
My kid knows the kids who are the most paid in college.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he's he's an athlete.
Yeah, they're all over YouTube. Yeah, absolutely.
They want to. My son's favorite, and this is going to sound crazy. I couldn't believe it because we were at somewhere, and a guy said to my son, "Who's your favorite college football team?" And he said, "Colorado."
Colorado.
Of course he did.
I know it.
Well, Sean, Colorado, wouldn't you say
he
Dion
would cry at night if I didn't want to watch a Colorado game?
The best job because it's all branding now. He's
It's
done
all
the
branding.
best
It's all
job.
it's all marketing genius. Whether you like him or not.
Yes.
Branding and marketing is he's done a fantastic job, and you don't have to like the sound bites, but they're played over and over again, right? And if you're a guy who wants to be noticed, the reality is, if every night they're talking about Colorado and Dion, whether better or worse, you want that attention. I can't speak to what the culture of his program is like. I don't know that we know truly what it's like, but I without a doubt think that he is a marketing and branding genius.
Yeah, he's polarizing.
Think about this. Okay, go.
No, if you look at Colorado before he was there and since he's been there, nobody watched Colorado. Nobody cared about Colorado. Now everyone loves Colorado because he put him on the map.
Darian Hagan and Eric Bieniemy. Has anyone watched Colorado?
Yep.
Or maybe I guess Cordell Stewart was pretty good for a while too.
But the interesting thing is, though, about Dion is, and I don't know, maybe this is just the HBSU. He didn't get that attention when he was there. I mean, he did, but not. And you think that's just because it's?
Oh, when he was at Jackson State.
When he was at Jackson State.
He did get he got more games televised than in the history of the school when he went to Jackson State.
John, this will make you laugh because and you have kids, so you know this. Okay. I obviously know, and you know who Jackson State is, and then we go to HB. When Dion went to Jackson State, I'm not kidding. At the time, my son was probably 6. Now he's 9. When Jackson State would be on some, ESPN 3 or whatever, I'm telling you, he'd be like, put on Jackson State. I mean,
that's why
I was the same way. I wanted to watch it.
Be like, put on Jackson State. Jackson State would be playing Tennessee Tech. Like, I didn't know one player, not Tennessee Tech, Tennessee, maybe it was Tennessee Tech as HBCU. One of these teams.
Or
right?
Howard.
And I wouldn't know one player other than Dion's kids and Travis Hunt. I didn't know one player, right? My kid would be like, did you, like some running back they had. One of them went with him to Colorado. I can't remember.
Well, the majority of the team went to Colorado with him.
He knew them when they went to Colorado. The ones that went to Colorado, he knew them. He's like, yeah, he was running back at Jackson State. I'm like, he was? I'm like, I didn't know that. I didn't even know.
But how does a guy like Travis Hunter? But how does a guy like Travis Hunter? Right, but like, how does he get a guy like? Because Travis Hunter was at Jackson State, right?
Yes. He was the number 1 recruit in the country. He was committed to Florida State. Yep. Dion flipped him. Signing day.
Okay. So it wasn't like he was like undervalued at Jackson State. This was his coming out party was at Colorado, not really at Jackson State. Got it.
He flipped him, which was unheard of. Nobody decommits from Florida State to go to Jackson State. He flipped him on signing day, and everyone was up in arms about it because he got the money to do it. Now, the other thing Dion did that was actually really good, he spent $1 million of his own money to build a facility at Jackson State.
That was great what he did there.
Yes.
That was great.
Because they had probably the worst facilities in the country. They barely had uniforms. And just by him being there, they got great deals from Nike and everyone else, sponsors.
Yep.
And he
all marketing.
Completely transformed that. Yeah, you're right. You're right.
Listen, it's not because Dion was a great player. Like, Dion obviously was a Hall of Fame great player and all.
Yeah, he was a high school coach before he went there.
You know why Dion had a different level of cachet? Because he was always on TV as a media personality.
Yes.
So, yes, everyone knew him as a great player, but he was a media personality that helped tremendously with getting the people. So, like, when you see some of these other pros want to do it, like, it's not like there were these mega Dion was also a big media personality. You know,
Oh.
in the same way that if Charles Barkley or Shaq wanted to go take over a college a basketball program and build it up, they could do it too. Not because they were great players, because they were great players.
Because they're in the media.
They're in the media. The kids today not just know them as great players, they know them as now people because they see them on TV. So that's the biggest part, and that's changed dramatically. And I'll use this even on the UConn side. Last year when Caitlin Clark was this older age, my son's favorite player is Paige Beckers on the women's side, right?
Right.
So, I was always a big fan of Caitlin Clark. My son did not like Caitlin Clark because he was all in on Paige Beckers. Okay, all in, dude. He's all in on Paige Beckers. Still, it's like, he's all in on Paige Beckers, right? Paige Beckers is on social media.
Yeah.
Okay. Caitlin Clark became famous, obviously, because she shoots the lights out and all that kind of stuff. So an older guy like myself was probably more enjoying what Caitlin did. Kids like my son and younger kids and younger teenagers are big fans of Paige Beckers too, because of her on the media side. The thing that you make fun of from time to time, right? They see her on the media side.
Sean, who does your son like?
So let me ask you something, Coach. So play that forward, right? So I think Jim Moore is doing as great of a job as he could, selling what he is. But let's say in 3 years, Dan Orlovsky is the coach. Do we get that same media hype?
If Dan Orlovsky is willing to do the things that are necessary, absolutely.
Right.
I don't think Dan
it's interesting.
I don't think Dan's as well.
That's the sidebar part of it. Like, you got to be like, Dion has gone to the wall, right, to get things done. So you have to be willing to do that, to make the calls, to connect people. You kind of have to have that personality. You know what I mean? It's not just about being a big name. You have to be willing to make the deal. That's really why I brought up like Shaq, right? He's a business person, makes deals, knows how to do that kind of stuff. If Dan was willing to, because he has a lot more fame maybe than most other coaches, I'll use this. In the coaching space, to me, the guy in college that's made the newest big splash is Bill Belichick. Okay?
Right.
Hall of Fame coach who's older, who doesn't need to do any of this stuff anymore, gets pushed out at New England on TV, okay? Dates a girl that's in her 20s, goes to UNC, dude. That's all press, okay? Now, the coaching side of him, obviously, he's a genius coach. But all this other stuff, if he sets up the structure properly, works to his favor. In New Jersey, he's been there offering all the top parochial kids. Oh, yeah. Like
already?
The showcase I ran, Pope John head coach, Gaston, he has a kid that's going committed to North Carolina from Pope John, their top player. He's got gear. They had his UNC hat on. Like, I'm telling you, if you have the guys around you that can help you with it, Dion did a good job with that too. Yes, if Dan Orlovsky did that and got the right people around him, you know what I mean? I don't know Dan's personality at all. I'm saying he could have a big impact. Yes.
I don't think he would have the personality for it.
Yeah, I don't know any of that. Dion obviously has a big personality, right? Bill Belichick has no personality.
It's different.
But he's the man.
Yeah, I'm just more making the connection. I don't think that. I'm just more connecting.
People have said that though.
I think it's a valid point, Sean.
People have said that Dan would be next in line if he wanted it.
But if I'm him, right, and I don't really, it's like owning a business. If you don't really love it and want to own a business, it's really hard to do it, right? And it just seems like he's got such a great gig doing what he's doing now, and I think it suits him well. I mean, it's just, but I do understand that whole like, if you have that power of the media, you can really use it to your advantage.
Yeah,
You know
you can
who I think
parlay
would
it.
be a great person to take over USC if the other guy, what's his name, the famous guy,
Lincoln Riley,
probably, if for some reason it didn't work out down the line, Liner.
Matt Liner. Seriously?
Oh, he's amazing. He's amazing on social media.
He's unbelievable on social media. He
I know.
coaches. He actually coaches his kids. Okay, you don't know it. If you didn't follow him, you wouldn't know it. But he does coach. Okay, I'm not saying he's like coaching in college.
What level?
He coaches his kid, like his high school kid.
His kid's in high
His
school.
son's actually a really good player.
Well, is his kid going to USC, Coach? Because his kid's a senior, right?
His son is a very good quarterback.
Quarterback, right?
Because his not his younger kids, but his son, who's the one in high school, is from the woman he was with in college.
Oh, okay.
He was also an athlete too. So this kid's a stud too. Like,
he's a stud, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Matt Liner is hilarious. I mean, I agree with you. He's
hilarious.
He's great.
You got to see. So you're not a dad yet, Steve. So your feed doesn't get filled with these dad things. Okay. Yeah. And Leinert is one of these like dad social media guys. Like, and he's recruited who? Who does he recruit? What's the basketball guys he recruited into some stuff?
The basketball player. Jefferson.
Yeah, he's recruited Jefferson. It's hilarious, dude. His wife is involved.
Yeah.
I mean, it's hilarious.
Wow.
And he's got little kids now. He's got little kids.
But I was looking at UConn's coaching staff. I still can't get over. I would have no idea how you manage 20 coaches.
Well, you're a CEO now. I mean,
you're a CEO, yeah, right? Exactly.
Okay, if you have an offensive staff meeting, there's 10 coaches in the room. Like game planning. Everyone's got ideas. Everyone throws shit out there. If you got to listen to the 10 different people, you're never going to get anything done.
Yeah, but that's part of being a CEO, Steve. It's like, I got 54 employees, right?
Oh, right.
And so I think that's just being a good manager. And I think that's one of the things that Jim Mora is I think he is a great, I think he plays that role very well. And it's not an easy role, to your point, right? Like, how do you make everyone feel like they got a place at the table without actually listening and acting on everyone's opinion? To me, that's just leadership, right?
Right.
And I think he's done a great job at it. I clearly, he knows how to run it. And I think, you look back at some of the coaches that didn't make it, right? Like I loved Bob Diaco, right? Yeah. Loved Bob Diaco. Loved his energy. Loved the way he coached when he was a D coordinator at Notre Dame. Yep. He didn't understand the CEO role, right?
No, he micromanaged.
Right. And, I think Jim Mora has been there, done that. He gets it, right? And, I think Bob Diaco will figure out eventually. And some guys can't ever figure it out. But, like, I think that's the success. Like, you go back to Bobby Bowden, right? Yeah. Bobby Bowden barely, he didn't do anything. Plays.
You're right.
Right, yep. Right. He managed the squad. And I think, if you track even back down to, like, youth football, there's a lot of guys that coach youth football that think they should coach youth football because they know X's and O's. But being the head coach, I think at any level in a lot of sports is really, can you manage an organization?
Right. It's changed so much.
Yeah.
I completely agree. And Jim Mora.
Yeah, just think about high school, man. Just think about high school. I mean, you never had to manage parents in high school, right? When we were going to high school, right? Now you got to manage parents too.
No, Dave's got to manage parents too.
They're tons of fun.
You got a lot of parents,
but like manage me sometimes. So,
but like even with the transfer portal, like the running back they took, the Flowers kid from Eastern Illinois.
I like him.
How do they? I always wonder how they find these guys, how they get in touch with them. Is there just like a website, a list of guys who enter the portal?
Yes,
and then you reach
absolutely.
out to them?
Absolutely.
Okay. Because that's crazy. And I was also looking, they didn't take a quarterback, but they have 7. They just took the freshman from Virginia. But other than that, like, I don't know who else they would go with. If they like the 6'7" kid, the Tucker McDonald kid played a little bit. That's a little scary if Evers doesn't develop or get any better, because he's got 2 years left. So and I still don't understand how Joe Figiano's on the roster if he really is coming back, because that we were talking about it. I think that muddies the waters for them. What do you do when they're not paying him, but they're paying Evers? So do you have to play Evers by default again because he's making the most money, or you play Joe who?
Well, but I mean, is Joe Fignano like, look? I think he came in and did a great job. Is someone else giving him a bag of cash somewhere else? I'm not sure.
No.
I'm not sure that like he's in a good spot right now because he earned the spot, right? And he played
agree.
well, but I don't know that anyone else is cutting him a check and saying, hey, you're going to have a better opportunity here.
No, I agree with you. I don't think anyone would do that, but I personally think if you have 2 quarterbacks, you don't have any, and the last thing they need is a quarterback controversy. And I think he did enough to warrant at least going into spring practice as the starter. He's shown he can win games. Now his stats aren't anything remarkable, but he won't lose you games. That's the biggest thing. I just think they would have to tailor the offense a little bit more around him. Don't you think that, Dave? Because he's not the runner that Evers is. They would have to. They really have to switch things up if he's the guy they're going to go with. That's my only concern.
And they did a good job of that last year. They did just, if he became the guy full time, that would be, they'd have to do that from the get go.
Yes,
it would be more focused around him than it was around Evers. So that's the way I look at it. But it's, that's a good situation to have, I guess.
I think it's a horrible situation to have.
What, having Fagano back?
Well, you got to decide you're going to go with him. I don't want him back in.
Fagano's back, and they're not bringing in any other transfers.
No, they don't have any other transfers. It's him and Evers.
They're 100% going with Fagano.
You think so?
I mean, how could you?
I hope so.
How could you not? Oh yeah, maybe you're right. Maybe they're not. I don't know.
Well, I just know Mike wants Nick to play. Mike,
that's crazy to me. I'm sorry, that's crazy.
I agree. I was at. Sean, did you go to all the games, or did you? Or you? That's right, you weren't able to go. Did you go to any? I can't remember. I thought I saw him at one.
Is Sean there or no? We lose Sean.
But I thought I saw him at a couple. The games that I saw him play, it was just painful to watch. And I mean, it says he played in 9 games. I'm pretty sure he started 7, I think. But 5 touchdowns to 5 interceptions, 918 yards. That's just, ugh. And I mean, Figiano, yeah, he had 20 touchdowns to 4 interceptions, but 6 of those touchdowns came against Merrimack. So you're talking 14 touchdowns in 9 games. That's not, and he only averaged 163 yards passing a game. And that's just what is concerning. Now, but I think if they made the decision and said, hey, we're going with this guy, and they built the offense around him, and
Right.
maybe they went under center a little bit more, and you leaned on your running backs, with Cam and Mel, and now Victor Rosa will probably be back in the mix because Robinson's gone. Then I think they can do some things.
Right.
But the schedule is a little bit tougher. Other than Central Connecticut and Delaware, Syracuse, and then BC, Duke, Air Force. So Air Force was down last year, but I'm just curious. If they can get to 8 wins, that's gotta get them into a conference.
Right.
Because I can't see them surviving another couple years like this without getting into a conference. Even freaking UMass joined the MAC. And then defensively, the defense is outstanding, but they losing their top players. But we watch some of the guys coming in. I do like the D linemen they brought in in the portal. I thought that they got some very good value there. But you really don't think Jaden McDonald will get drafted with he had 125 tackles, 10 TFLs, 3.5 sacks. You don't think that's good enough to get drafted? Or it's just his size?
That don't mean anything.
Right, I got it. It's size and ability. The other linebacker I liked too was the Tua Brown. Hey,
Yeah.
I don't know if Sean. Oh, there you are. Hey, Sean, I forgot. Were you able to go to a couple games this year?
I wasn't. No, but
Right.
Oh no,
right.
we went to one game. Who did we go see? We saw the Temple game. Temple game was awesome.
Right.
That was
right.
where
Yes.
they forced the fumble.
The goal
We were right
line
in the end
stand.
zone. It was goal line. It was the longest fucking game I think I've ever sat through.
Yeah, there were a million penalties.
Yeah, but it was an amazing game.
What do you think? Because we were talking about this because Joe Figiano's still listed on the roster. If he's coming back, and you still have Nick Evers, and you're paying Nick Evers, do you go with Joe? Do you think he did enough to warrant at least going into the spring starting, or do you just go with Evers because he was your guy?
Well, I think Nick Evers has the biggest potential, right? He's got
More
the biggest
upside, yep.
right? And so I don't know that I would go in, and I think this also depends on personalities, right? And that's where you got to lean on Coach Mora or the offensive coordinator to understand, what's going to motivate Evers to get better, right? Is it a competition? Is it naming Fignano? Is it saying, hey, it's Nick, right? Like, because I think you do have to, manage personalities, right? At that level. But look, I think you're right. What you said is Fignano didn't lose ball games for UConn, right? And I think he managed the games well, and I think he's mature. But I think Evers is the guy that you're gonna get to that, if you want to call it next level with, right?
Yeah.
And it's a tough
I
spot to
agree.
be in, but like I said, Fignano, he's not he won games, right? But no one's throwing a bag of cash. Like, you don't have to worry about him going anywhere, right? And so I think if the coaching staff is confident that Evers is the guy long term, you know, you either say, hey, this is our guy. Joe did a great job last year, but this is our guy. Or you have a competition, right? You know, you say the spot's open and you got to compete. At the end of the day, I still think you want to put the guy that's going to win you games, right? Like, you know, it can always be about money, but at the end of the day, you put the best guy you know, to do the job. I know that's not always the popular opinion, right? But if it, you know, as much as anybody likes Evers, if he's not winning ball games, it's not helping us.
Right.
It's a sunk cost. Okay. And Sean knows this as a entrepreneur.
Yep.
Okay. The biggest mistake that businesses make is when they spend money in one direction and it doesn't work out, they try to make it up.
Yep.
And they double down.
They might double down. Yes. Double down is the biggest problem.
Yep.
It's a sunk cost. Okay. It didn't work out. You lost some money here. Yep. I'm not saying Nick Evers is or isn't. I'm just saying that's in the NIL world, you have to have, and I guess for us, Burton is our business person, but anybody can get caught up in that, even if you are a successful business person like Mike is. But the biggest mistake, and I'm not saying he's doing it, I'm just saying the biggest mistake you can make is not viewing your investment in a player, if it doesn't work out, as a sunk cost and trying to make that money up. It's if a guy doesn't work out and you happen to spend $150K, let's say, I don't know what the number is, but let's say it's $150K, and he's your backup and he doesn't work out as a starter, you don't make him the starter. You don't double down on your mistake. You spent $150K on a backup. That sucks. You don't make a decision based on the fact that you threw $150K down the drain. If that was the case, okay? I'm not saying he is. He may be successful. I'm just saying him as an example, right? I'm just using it as an example. That's the biggest mistake that a lot of smart business people may make and general managers may make without having the knowledge in college football. I paid this one guy. He didn't do as good as I thought he should. I don't want to pay the next guy. Like, you can't get caught in that. Once you pay a guy, you pay the guy.
Yep. It's like employees, right? It's like employees. It's like if you overpaid for someone, you overpaid for someone. Either you get, and like college is a little different. You can't fire someone, but either you fire them or you just you got to swallow. You got to swallow it.
You got to eat it.
You got to eat it. It's a sunk cost. Hey guys, I always love catching up with you, but I have to. I got to pull over and take a piss. And then I got another call at 1:00. So always good being on with you. You guys have a great show.
Thank you, Sean. You're the man.
Catch you later.
All right.
Bye.
Take care.
Bye.
I love Sean.
He's great.
Isn't he great?
He's great. So is he the same grade as you?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. We used to party. He was a rugby player. He played football. I think he played football for a year.
Okay.
And then he went to rugby.
Got it.
But he's great. He's great. But he's frustrated as well with the NIL system, just because
that we have, or NIL system as a whole.
UConn, because it's not streamlined as far as with the donation process. You know, because he donates to the School of Business, and he always tries to donate to athletics, but it's like too much. It's like I got to donate to this, then this, then this. He's like, I wish the one centralized donation, and you can direct it to where you want it to go, instead of just having to donate to the School of Business, having to donate to the foundation, having to donate to NIL.
That sounds like $1 billion app development that we need to make. Build an app, right?
That accepts donations.
There's a lot of stuff that accepts donation. That part's probably very easy for a programmer, because there's all these different funds that do it. But the key element is not that. The key element is not the accepting of donations. is the directing of the donation.
Yes,
and
that's
being able to see that money where it ends up.
that's exactly what he wants. He wants the biggest thing he wants is transparency.
An
Is what he
app,
said.
some sort of system that built the donation side's easy, probably very easy. The categories are probably easy to develop. The transparency of how it goes through the process, that has to be built. Probably hasn't been done before. And that would be awesome.
Okay. We got a $1 million idea. You write it down. Are you a computer programmer? Can you do it?
Where the hell's my pen? I have to use my pen. I can't write.
That actually is. You want to know what? That actually is a great idea.
I thought of it right now as we were going through. Like, what's the problem? That's the problem.
If you just had an app, a Yukon app, and you click on it, and you can donate wherever you want.
Right,
that
and
really
you
is
see
smart.
it go through the process, like right.
Yes.
A
100%.
donation to category, whatever that category is, to the process of the end result, right? Like where it goes, and then you want to see it in action. Like you want to see it in action. So like Steve gave $100, right? And people always are like, "Oh,
I did."
No, I'm saying so did I. But I'm just saying, like, using an example, you give $100. The worst thing for you when you give $100 is not knowing what it goes to.
100%.
Like, for example, when you fundraise for like a team, like, a youth sports team, you're like, okay, it's going to go to uniforms. It's going to go to this. It's going to go to that, right? Seems pretty simple and basic, right? Because it's a much smaller level donation process. So you kind of know where it's going to go for the most part, right? There's not that many places it can go. So, but in a university, it's so vast. It's so big. There's so many different sports. There's so many different teams. The ability to go through, donate, and know where it goes to, and then knows where it lands, meaning like, you get a notification, Pagano received, you donated $100. Well, 1% of your donation went to Figano. 45% of it went to the football program as a whole. 3% of your donation, even though it's only $3, this is how we allocate. Or they may say 100% of your donation, we took your $100 and decided that would go to the Joe Fignano Fund, right?
Right.
So you just want to know, if I give to football, where does it end up? Does it end up in football, first of all? That's your first question.
That's what Sean said.
That's the first question. If I want to donate to football, does it end up in football? Great. If it ends up in football, who does it end up going to? Does it go to the facilities? Does it go to the video coordinator? Does it go to the field turf? Does it go to Joe Vignano? Does it go to Evers? Who or what does it go to? I would love to know, because you have pride in it. So you get $100 went to Joe Fignano, and Fignano gets that notification. We took $100 from Steve Cully, and of the $10,000 we gave you, here is the makeup of the people that gave you the $10,000. It was Steve Cully. It was this person. It was that person. It was this person. Or all 10 came from this one person, right? So Joe can then say, you know what? Thank you. Yeah. Here's a letter through the athletic department back to you, right? Back to the donors who donated to. How good would you feel if Joe said, hey, thank you for your $100 donation. You were part of the $10,000 that went to me from Yukon, NIL, whatever.
I think that would be great.
Right?
I think that would be great. I think that's a great idea. And I think that would definitely entice more people to donate too, because they would see it's appreciated.
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, what's great about Open Indoors? Why Joe's doing it? Someone gives $45 to Joe, okay, for a video. Joe does a video. Person gets it for $45. It's a direct interaction. Joe says to himself, Joe's basically, hey, how you doing? And Joe will probably write a quick email, or they might have a form email, but that goes to that person, says, thanks so much for your donation. I enjoyed doing the video for you. That's what Open Indoors does.
You knew that had been going on? Like, this
Yes.
isn't anything new.
Yeah, because they do it they do it now because of NIL, but they used to do it for any creators. They used to do it for companies, but they were smart and they expanded it to NIL, which was smart.
Right.
So that's a good example of a direct pay-in. Now, it's very hard for a player to make, unless he's really, really famous, a lot of money from that. That's where the university donations can help and say, hey, we got this bundle of money that came in, and 10,000 of it went to this person. 10,000 went to facilities. 85,000 went to contribute to a new building we're going to break ground on. People want to know that. I might want to go to the breaking ground of a building that I donated money to, right?
UConn has to do that because they're a public university. They have to show.
On the public side, they're supposed to.
Okay.
You donate to the foundation. That's why the foundation side wants to control the money.
That's why they tried to streamline it through the foundation.
They feel like they can do a better job of that, right? The NIL group says, no, give or is more interested in them getting money, and we'll distribute it how we feel best. Okay.
But I still wonder because I've donated to Store Central. If I donate to Store Central, does that go to the foundation?
Who knows what it goes to? You don't know.
Because I thought that's what he said.
You're banned, so you can't find out anyway.
Well, because that's true. It says I'm banned. I'm banned from signing in. I can still donate, but I'm banned from my membership. I posted our shows on a couple of the UConn Facebook groups, and they really liked it. Our shows. There's a UConn football fan page. There's 2 of them that I posted in, and then I posted in 2 of the UConn basketball pages, and they obviously love it because Joe's on there and Maria. But that's the content that I think that's what I really think that we're missing on the website. I think that if they had more content like that, it would make a difference.
No doubt.
And that's what's disappointing, because you go on UConn Plus and it's just, I mean, it's not a lot. I mean, they do just some shows following the team, but if you look at the other schools, they have coverage, and that's the biggest thing. Like, football doesn't have coverage. There's not a lot of even media overall covering it, in the sense, even the newspaper. I mean, you got to pay for the Current. The Post does a little bit, the Register a little bit. It doesn't generate the coverage that would really help it grow. And that's
I think, yeah.
No, that's why I think it is missing, and that's what hopefully Kevin gets this done so we can help them, because I think that also will help with recruiting. It'll help with recruiting. It'll help with donations.
Yeah, you're right. I think
because there's nothing out there.
I mean,
you need visibility.
They're getting a good amount of donations, from my understanding. So I mean, especially obviously basketball side, but football is doing decently well. But I think that it's just a competition of what you need versus what we have. It's not that we're not getting money. It's that there's so much money needed.
It's not comparable. Like it's not comparable to the like anything in the Power 5.
Absolutely.
I don't know
That's the issue. It's not the issue that we aren't doing. So when on the inside people say, "Hey, we're doing great. We're fundraising great." We are. It's not that we're not fundraising well. It's that at the extreme ends of success, right? Where does all success happen? At the extremes, right? Where does all greatness happen? It's at the extremes. Bad things, crazy things happen also at the low extremes too, right? Serial killers, you know what I mean? Like those. There's the extremes is where these things happen. So if you want to be at the extreme end of the positive side of it, right? Being at the extreme level of success and fundraising, we're not at that, right? That's the issue. So in order to compete with the extremes, the very best, we're not there. Now, it's not probably from resources. It could be from our overall program or how it is, but that's a difficult part. Listen, I would venture, this is me, I could be wrong. I know, see, Paige has a lot of success financially, not because of anything that UConn does.
No.
Money directly, right?
Yeah.
So she makes a lot of her money directly from these donors or companies.
Yes.
Okay. So she's getting, it's not, I'm sure they help her with the process, but she herself is a celebrity.
Absolutely.
So now if you look at the men's basketball team, the last few years we had some great players. We were ahead of the curve, I guess, in basketball with some of the giving money to players, and we did well with that. Now other people have caught up in how they distribute money, right? In men's basketball. Well, we have good players, but do we have all of the best players to make us win? Now we do have a great freshman, right? He's the second best freshman probably in the country, or top 2 or 3. But and he's probably getting paid well.
And they also are saying people think there's a chance he could stay.
He could, yeah. I mean, if he's getting a good amount of money, yeah, that would be great. The thing is that the ability to pay 1 or 2 guys is different than, let's say, a team who could pay 3 or 4 guys in basketball.
Exactly. Right.
That's the difference.
That's the difference.
That's the difference. And that could be, I'm not saying it is because I don't know. I'm not there. But I'm saying that could be the difference between us being as good as we were and not maybe some other teams catching up very quickly, like St. John's.
St. John's
is the example.
In a year. Yeah.
In a year.
100%.
Right? They were behind the curve. Now they've caught up. Now we can catch up. Okay. It's a matter of how we do it. And that's what Sean is probably frustrated with.
Well, his other frustration is if you donate.
Yeah.
He believes there should be some reward, incentive to do so. He's like, okay, you donate. Like, what do I get for this?
Right.
Like he would love, to sit in a box or, he just wants to.
Where does your donation go? Right. That's the other backside of it too. The perks. You just
that's
built
what he said.
Gap. So the two sides of it is, where does the money go? And what are the perks for me giving this money? What are the perks?
That's exactly what he said.
I get. Troy? Oh, okay. So he's staying with me, dog? All right, buddy, you're with me. So the perks that you get, and I think that's a big deal too, right? So
that's his biggest gripe, other than having to donate to different entities. He feels like there's no incentive. Like I don't get anything in return from this. Like it may be free tickets to a game, maybe something like that.
He gets nothing currently right now, and he donates a good amount of money. Right?
He donates a ton of money. Yeah,
well, there you go.
That's his gripe. It's like I donate. Like what am I getting?
I mean, listen.
Give me tickets.
You want to know what this app is? Go. You ever been? You have the Dunkin' Donuts app?
Yeah.
Okay. Copy the Dunkin' Donuts app and replace it with UConn.
And then just put the different sports or
sports
schools.
and donations. And yes, right. And that's you want those perks and the points, and this is what you get for your perks. And I mean, that's what you're building.
That's a great idea.
I mean, that's my favorite app as far as it gets.
Well, I like Starbucks too.
Starbucks, I'm sure they do. I don't use their app that much. That's right. But you think about your favorite apps that you get, like you give money to for something. You get points.
You get rewards. Yep.
Rewards. And then you get a communication from them on it, right?
Yeah.
So that's what you need. Now it's just replacing people and products. Like you're replacing, I don't know, your coffee with Joe Fignano, I guess. You know what I mean? But
that would make things so much easier and more transparent. And I think people would like that. I really do. I think that's genius.
Maybe now we go and we take this.
I don't know a program, so
I'm gonna put.
Anyone who builds apps?
Well, maybe we clip up this whole thing and just send this whole segment to somebody who can help us.
They'll steal our idea.
That's our business plan. I know. Maybe we got to go patent it first.
Yeah, we got to copyright it.
I know.
We got to copyright it, and then we got to tell Burton and see if he'll do it.
Maybe Storm Rabinowitz would go in on this business plan model with us.
You know what? He probably would. We
could raise some funds and build it.
He would love it.
We could then now obviously if we do it for you, it's obviously easily replicatable across all
100%. Yeah.
So it's not like you build this and it's only for UConn. You build it, you customize it for every single team in the United States.
Yeah. That's genius. We just got to find a programmer.
Programmers aren't hard to find. I think you have to show them the example
of how you want it structured.
Just say, I mean, we could, that might not be that hard to build out. So you build out the sample part, you give it to the programmer and he goes and runs, right? So, we could see it as a version of this and be like, we don't think that's, but yeah, I think that's the way to go. And I think that's would help the average investor. If you want the small investors, the big investors, they probably want to know too. I mean, the real big investors where it goes, but the small investors, because they don't have as much money to give, are much more likely to want to know where it goes. The guys who give $1,000, $10,000, $5,000, they want to know where their $5,000 goes.
Yeah. And with that transparency, and if they feel appreciated, they're obviously likely to give more.
Right. And
that's what I think.
And would you like to make this a recurring investment every month?
Oh, which you could do.
And if you do this is what you'll get.
Which they need to do, which is not currently in place. If they did that for the donors, I think that would be huge. I was looking at the attendance numbers. Our home games, we didn't crack 30,000 people, other than one game.
With a 9-4 team,
it was 27,000. The only game that was 30,000 was the Wake game. And that's wow, because they had. We had a period from 2003 maybe to 2009 that they almost sold out every game. And they were close to, because the stadium can be expanded to 60,000. They were close to doing that. They were right there. And then Randolph left and it went to hell in a handbasket. Because otherwise we would have had a 60,000 seat stadium. But I still can't believe, man. But do you think because Joe D even still thinks this, that they need a campus on stadium?
I agree. Yeah. There's no other way.
And there's so much room to where they could do it.
Well, a lot of it has to do with those farms and stuff. What are they doing?
I know. It was the traffic and that. I wonder if it would still be feasible to do it, or they wouldn't, because I mean, unless they split like they do with basketball, playing in Hartford and playing in stores. If you built one on campus, though, would you build it smaller? Would you just make it like 30,000?
I mean, you could get away with that if it's expandable. I think the key is, like, for a place like UConn, the key with UConn is simply this. If you figure out what the best number of seats is. There's a minimum you have to have for in
30. It's 30 for
30?
D1. Yeah.
So, I mean, I would build 40, but
yeah, you're right.
If you build 40, make sure it's expandable,
like they did with the rent. Yeah.
So if you happen to become really great and you really draw, you're selling out 40,000 all the time, then you could always expand.
Yeah.
But I just think 25 minutes down the road, students ain't gonna go.
And they don't.
And we have so many students, dude. 20,000 students. I mean,
in the stores campus,
you're losing out on 10,000 students.
Yeah, you're right.
Every single
home game. Yeah.
Game. Why would you want to like that? What does it get home game cost? $20, $25, $30? I don't know. What does it cost?
Not much.
All right, so let's say it costs.
For students, it's cheap.
20. Let's say it's $25. 20. Yeah. Okay, that's 25 times 10,000.
Yeah, that's a lot of revenue.
2.5 million, maybe, is that right? Something like that. So, I mean, that's, let's see, times 2 would be 25,000. No, 250. Hold on, let's do math. I can't even do math anymore.
Supposed to be the smart one.
I know. I can't even do it. I know. I think what I said was wrong. So 25. Let's start with that. 25 times 10,000 is 250,000. They're gonna spend another 25 minimum at the game. So that's 500,000. Right? They're gonna probably spend equal to that in gear, right? 750,000 from the same group. So the worst you're going to get out of 10,000 people is 750,000. The worst you're going to get. Times how many home games?
They had 7 this past year, but I think they have 6 next year.
Okay, times 6. So that's just in, if it's as low as $25 a ticket, $25 tickets. Food, if they spend $25, which they're probably going to spend more, but let's say you spend $25, and merchandise, if they spend $25 a game, which they're probably going to spend more than that. But let's say that would be $750,000 from 10,000 people. That's $4.5 million just from that. That's not even, people probably spend a lot more than what I'm talking about, but $4.5 million. Okay, so now you have another 30,000 people probably spending between tickets. Because if you got another 30,000 people times $200 for a visit. Oh, 200.
Yeah, they do have 6 home games.
Let's say it's. I'll go on a low end. Let's say between merch and all that stuff. Let's say 150,000. So another 30,000 people times 150. That's 4.5 million per game times 6 is 27 million. So that's 32 million basically right there.
Yeah, that they're
right now they're probably making half that.
Yeah.
More, but less than half, probably a third of that. So they're probably getting like 9 million a year from that stuff.
I mean, that's why football drives the bus.
You're getting 3 or 4 times the amount of money by having an on-campus stadium. It pays for everything else.
No, I know it does.
I mean, let's say the profit on that is, let's say it's 30%. It's $8 million of free cash to use whatever you want. And I'm probably on the low end. I'm probably on the low end of what I'm guesstimating. It's probably 2 times the size, probably 15 to 20 million free cash, maybe more.
Man.
That's with only 40,000. If you start to get really good and you're packing the house, you get up to 60,000 or 70. I mean, listen, Tennessee, 110,000 every game. Okay. 110, 123 times, let's say each person's paying $200 per person at a game. That's 22 million times 6, 132.
That's
$132 million.
That's why they have so much money. Yeah.
So we're not, listen, that's five times what we get in the new model. Yeah. In the old model, it's like 120 times what we make.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
scary.
That's scary, dude. How can you compete on the field if you have nowhere near the money the other group has? Nowhere
you don't have a fraction.
You don't have a fraction of it. It's just impossible.
It is.
That's actually a miracle what he's done. Well, we're in this lower level, technically, not even though it's still FBS.
Well, I mean, we're playing MAC schools and Sunbelt schools.
Playing people like us.
But when Randy was there, we didn't. We were playing Michigan and Tennessee.
Well, that's the point of, look, he's doing a great job. We had a chance to beat Duke. We had a chance to beat
we had a chance to beat Wake.
Syracuse and Wake, and they're probably.
I was at the Syracuse game. Yeah, no, I mean,
I don't think Wake has a huge attendance.
No,
Duke is not great on attendance, but they're still probably making 3 or 4 times what we make, and then Syracuse probably makes like 10 to 20 times more.
Well, but Syracuse has been down too, so
they still have a bigger alumni base because of the years of success, right?
Yeah, no, they do. They do.
But that's what it has to get to. So Joe's right, because you have to start to make a dent in this thing. You got to get it on campus funding. You know what they should do is like, I don't know.
I can't even remember how much the stadium cost.
A new stadium, a lot. I mean,
no, but how much the rent cost?
I don't know.
Yeah,
but anyway, I got to run. Dude, this is an awesome show, dude. Awesome.
Yeah, no, we'll see you tonight. Are you home late tonight?
No, I'll be here.
Okay.
We're in this right now. We're in between, which is great. By the way,
I may have John McEntee.
Oh, what? Phenomenal.
Yeah. Well, I got to see if Frank has the Secret Service guy, because he doesn't want to come on with somebody else. So.
Okay. Yeah.
If he has a Secret Service guy, then I'll do him next week. But yeah, he wanted to come on. But he's not on Fox or anything, right? He just kind of does his own thing.
Yeah, he does his own thing.
Okay.
He probably has now seen a little bit more of the podcast, has probably listened to a little bit, and probably is like, oh yeah, that would be good.
Oh, good. Okay. That'll be fun.
The Rebel Republic.
Would you be able to go at 7?
No, probably
8. Okay. All right. Well,
I'll get caffeinated for it.
Good.
You know what happens to me? Like right around, like we get the first step. If I do sports on, I'm probably okay. Then we get to like halfway through Rebel.
Yeah. What? Huh?
If someone's like explaining a point for a long time, and I start to zone out.
Yeah, it's great.
My ADHD kicks in, and it's like my ADHD works differently than I don't know if ADHD, but my ADD works differently than others, and in that if I zone out and get distracted, sometimes I get tired. You know what I mean? Like
no,
that's
I know.
It's very interesting how everybody's kind of like zone off works. It's not that I'm actually tired though. I'm really not tired.
No, you just when you're not in the
my brain
conversation.
Yeah.
Shut up. We had pretty good viewership for this too.
Oh yeah, we had great viewership. Pretty consistent too. Like it took a while. The first 20 minutes took a while to build up, but then it got pretty consistent though. So
yeah. All right. Well.
All right. Good. You got it.
When life gives you lemons, don't make lemonade. Take 2 oranges, throw them back life.
You're getting good. I can't get.